Are you looking at going to the Singapore Grand Prix for the first time? Are you looking for any tips and advice about going to the Singapore Grand Prix? Hi, my name is Lauren, and I am going to my third Singapore Grand Prix later this year, and that will be my 7th Grand Prix that I've actually attended around the world. I also help moderate the Singapore F1 Grand Prix tips and advice group that you can find on Facebook. We have over 15,000 members, and if you've got any questions, we are more than happy to help you. And in this episode, obviously after the excitement that has actually happened with the new release of the concerts that will be actually happening in 2025, thought I'd give you a bit of advice for how to actually attend the concerts throughout the Singapore Grand Prix. And yes, this advice can also be used from 2025 and beyond. And I thought I'd just do sort of like a little bit of an FAQ kind of thing, but also just some advice that I would give as somebody who's been to a couple of these concerts before. And the first question I always get, are these concerts included in the ticket price? Yes, they are. So you don't have to pay any extra to actually attend these concerts. It's all included in the ticket price. However, there is actually a bit of a catch. If you have a Zone 4 only ticket, you won't be able to attend the concerts that are in Zone 1. However, if you actually have a ticket that does access all zones, that means that you can see all the concerts in both zones 1 and 2, as well as in zone 4 as well. So effectively, all you have to just do is turn up to the concert that you want to see. There is no extra charge, but just make sure that you know what ticket can access what zone. Now, the next question I always get is, I am such a huge fan of a certain band. Just insert a band in there somewhere. Can I get concert-only tickets? I don't want to see the F1. Now, I completely understand. I'm a massive Foo Fighters fan, and for me, in 2025, I am so excited they're actually going to be playing at Singapore. But as for concert-only tickets, so unfortunately, no. You need to actually have a valid ticket for everything. That includes both the F1 and the concerts as well, to gain access to the concert that you want to see. So the next question that I always get is, I have tickets for hospitality or the paddock. Can I get access to the concerts? Absolutely you do. Now, if you've got hospitality tickets or the paddock tickets, you have access to all zones, which means that you can go see any of the concerts in either zones 1, 2 or 4. Now, from experience, I actually had Friday only hospitality tickets last year at the Singapore Grand Prix, and I did actually have access to go see One Republic and also 30 Seconds to Mars through my hospitality ticket. Now, because I'm not a big fan of 30 Seconds to Mars, it didn't actually really apply to me. I was more than happy to go and sit in the aircon and everything like that. One Republic I did actually want to go see, but because we did actually notice there was a big storm bearing down, and it still meant another 40-minute walk to get up to the Padang Stage, I just decided to veto it. However, I could have actually gone because I had full access to go see the concerts at the Padang Stage. Now, the next question I always get is, I have either a Zone 1 or Zone 2 grandstand ticket. How do I get to the Padang Stage? Now, after track activity has ended for the evening, which is approximately around about 10:15 p.m, the track does actually open for people to actually walk on the track. And this is actually mainly to ease movement up to the Padang Stage. This walk will take about 30 to 40 minutes to get to the Padang Stage, depending on where you are sitting. It is very likely that if you do wait for the track to actually open for you to walk on it, that you will miss the start of the concert. So if you do actually want to see the full concert, I would highly suggest jumping on the MRT either at Promenade Station or Nickel Highway Station, depending on your location, well before the track activity ends. This does mean that you may miss out on either some part of qualifying or the race. However, you will arrive quicker to the Padang Stage. From experience, I usually would leave just before the last track activity starts for the evening, which is usually Formula 1, either practice 3 or qualifying. I then walk down from gate 1 to the Nickel Highway MRT station, even though Promenade would be a little bit more shorter. Then got off at Esplanade Station and entered through gate 3 before I got the overpass over to the Padang Stage. I would usually get there within 1 hour before the concert actually started. Of course, like I said, it may mean possibly missing out on the track activity that is actually happening at the time. But if you want to see the concert in full, this is kind of the thing you really need to do. Because if you leave immediately before the track activity ends, there'll be more crowds to contend with. And also there is the risk of actually missing out on the start of the concert. Now, the other question that I do actually get a lot is, where are the stages? Now, I would highly suggest going onto the Singapore Grand Prix website. I have actually put the link down below to download the Circuit Park map. Now, this is the current version of the map. However, there will be an updated version at a closer date to the Singapore Grand Prix. So I would say about a month out, check out the same link and you'll be able to actually download the updated version of that map. And you will be able to see where the wharf stage is and then also where the Padang Stage is. The other stages such as downtown and also the Sunset Stage, they are also located on this map as well. But when I'm talking about the concerts, the major concerts that you guys will be seeing will be on the Wharf Stage or the Padang Stage. So that's kind of the questions I usually get around the concerts and things like that. But I do want to give you guys some bonus tips as well that I would actually take on from my own experiences of actually going to plenty of concerts at the Singapore Grand Prix. Alright, first tip that I can give you to you guys, I'm sure this is pretty common sense. Don't be that person who turns up 5 minutes before the concert and pushes their way to the front. Just be a little bit more realistic here and have some common sense and maybe a little bit of decency here. You're not going to win friends if you push your way to the front. Just as simple as that. And that's the same with any other concert I'm sure you've been to. The second tip I can give you is that if it has been raining during the week leading up to the Singapore Grand Prix or even the night before the Singapore Grand Prix, the Padang does get very muddy. So leave the designer shoes at home and please do not wear white because they will not be white ever again. I would highly suggest bringing cheap throwaway shoes, gum boots or Crocs with you. Now, just a bit of a local tip here about Singapore because I have done a previous video about customs and things like that in Singapore. And one of the big customs here in Singapore is that it is very commonplace for locals to actually reserve spots by leaving some belongings behind. You will see this at hawker centres very predominantly, but you'll also see this also at concerts as well. So somebody might leave a water bottle or a handbag or some sort of belonging behind, and that's their way to reserve spots. Especially if you are visiting from overseas, do not be that tourist. I did put in a previous video of my experience from 2023 where a fight broke out because a lady who was visiting from overseas didn't understand that you don't do that in Singapore and then started calling people horrible slurs in Spanish. Anyway, I hope that's a little bit more advice about going to a concert at the Singapore Grand Prix, and I look forward to actually talking to you guys more about tips and advice about going to the Singapore Grand Prix. Peace out, guys.